a cheer when we get it right. Listen, thank you so much for coming and for staying on. This is ad hoc. My name's Nicola Meighan. I'm an arts writer and broadcaster. And until yesterday, and by the way, I would be thrilled about this. I was under the impression that I was doing a Q&A with the wonderful Carla Jason, who isn't feeling so well, the co-director of the film and the narrator of the film with Blair. So can we just give her a huge cheer because she's amazing?
There's something actually at the back of my Bellody haircut. What was that? It was, unfortunately Carl's taken out. She's been kind of on the verge all week. And she started to record her album and it just got too much right today.
But imagine this, right? You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, right, I can't wait to do this. I've seen the film just a few times on the link. And then I saw this thing on Instagram and it said, Nicola Meighan in conversation with not just Carla and Blair, the wonderful Blair, co-director here at the end, but also Rose McDowall from Strawberry Switchblade. I'm going to try and do this in order. Jane from Long Line, Jill from Strawberry Switchblade, Annie from Long Line, Libby, God Almighty, boom boom, they're all up here again. I have to check the time because we have about 25 minutes. Now, frankly, I really would do this. Pick up microphones, you just have to share them or something. We'll have a chat about whatever we can. Take them. How about the film, first of all? I don't know how many of you have maybe seen it before. I've seen it before, but never in a cinema. And I'm sharing microphones. We're not going to ask you to sing just yet, I'm going to go to Blair first of all, just because I don't know how many years worth of wonderful conversations we've had. You're kind of speaking for Carla as well. We were seeing you and said, so excited about this film you're working on. You must have told me about it probably before you even started on it. It's so important, but also how on earth do you bring everything together? And here it is. And what's wonderful is it's been greater than the sum of its parts. So already there's a movie here, but it's spinning off into huge articles, huge reviews, people playing on stage together. Like the sense of community, which is really at the heart of this, is like being so celebrated. It feels like the start of something, not the kind of end of it.
Yeah, and that was almost a objective. Whatever means we made the documentary through, whatever level of production it reached, it was always just about shining the spotlight on some artists who largely have been ignored because of gender. It's entirely that. The documentary, just in the documentary, so you know what it goes into. But that was always so. The way I was saying to you earlier, it's almost, even if you haven't seen the film, it's sort of been successful already because it's brought everyone back. And Jeanette from the Kennedys, the 5-page spread in the heavens. And it's just, it seems always just what we were after, that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, quite. So let's since you're sitting next to lovely Blair, Rose, at what point were you contacted about this, and what were your feelings about it at the time? Because in one way your story had been kind of consigned to history. We sometimes want to talk to you about it, but to have it celebrated and brought back to life on screen, something quite different.
That's way too much. I'm supposed to remember everything you said there. Actually, it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing seeing everybody up there because basically, I mean, we're all still here, but you know, and
That's enough, right?
we're all still here and we're still doing stuff, we're still alive and kicking, just not kicking the right people. But yeah, it's amazing because the documentary itself was actually found it really, really quite sad that for women, like from when Jill and I started and before, you know, the same problems still exist now. And it's like, and the whole thing about not having a baby and, you know, you have to leave the band because you're pregnant or whatever. I had a baby before I even started Strawberry Switchblade. So it's like, all you're doing is enriching that child's life by giving it a more adventurous, you know, life and doing things that not every kid gets to do. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's really good. I think people get stuck in a rut in every aspect of life, and to step out of that, it's what you're celebrating. And to make your children, I mean, having a child is one of the best things. It's much better than creating a song, believe me. But I mean, it's like, so that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be knocked down to doing that.
But it's also, it's even better. It's lovely at the very beginning of the film, and it's been, I think, since yesterday, which gives it its title. You guys can tell me, Dylan knows the exact date, but we're pretty much to the date, I think, 40 years since it was released.
Well,
right?
Carla's
Do you know exactly?
the research.
Let's just say it's today.
years.
40 years. Right, so how often is honestly, I think that's an incredible thing.
And I remember it like it was suggested.
Let's just go home now. Sorry, we're already going off piece. Jill or Rose, do you remember when you first saw that record in the shop somewhere?
I remember the Smash Hits cover. Do you remember going into like magazine shops and stuff, and we were on Smash Hits on the cover, and that was like just before it got into the charts. And I remember going, I'm going to buy every single one in the shop. Because it was just like that kind of.
It's a really
moment,
bad
you
idea.
know?
Don't buy it.
Under
my bed.
I'm not sure I did, but you know, it was just like, wow.
Yeah, we were kind of overwhelmed back then because when it did take off, we were on every single. The only TV program we didn't do was the OB whistle test. We weren't serious enough for them, obviously. But that was the only thing we did. We were plastered on everything. It was kind of a wee bit hard to ignore us. If you wanted to, it would be difficult. But the record company was like, they'll sell you as hard as they can, but they'll not do for you the best that they can.
Yeah.
So it's really, really hard. And we didn't get any guidance, like Jill said in the film. We got none. We had managers, but no advice. People that had done it before, we hadn't, you know. It's like,
No, it's like you say at the very, very beginning of the film, you know, you were like, I'll be a brain surgeon or I'll be a pop star, and we were both laughed at in equal measure because it was, you know, if a wee boy had said that, I think that would probably been alright, you know, I'll be a rock star, that's accessible for a girl. It's like, that's not a, you know, that's not a valid career choice. But I love that Jay, we don't need to get a microphone here, you're watching them, yes. You're watching them as a kid, you're watching Jill and Rose and Strawberry Switchblade, so I was the same, I was completely utterly off. Like, you've seen about that Smash Hits cover, I thought, no, you were like, I didn't think I knew you were Scottish, and I thought you were from probably another planet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I knew there was Scotland. I think because it was like Jesus Mary Jane as well, and Strawberry Switchblade, and there are different places just from where I'm from, and but especially these two, like, you know, obviously that song, and it was more than just that song, but that, like, it was just such a killer, and it was just really like hot wired that sound into like a young girl's brain. Like, I just can't believe I'm actually just sitting here. I think I'm at this on purpose. And then I go.
Accidentally silent. But it goes very much back to Carla's narrative earlier on in the film, which is about not just representation but also visibility.
That's exactly what it is, because it is. It's like, you know, you have to see it. If you can see it, you know, Kevin Costner, we build it, they will come. It's like young women. Like, if we can see women doing something, doing music, you can see yourself doing it. Yeah. And that really helped me, and I hope, from my perspective of us being in that film, I hope that encourages other young women, and not just young women, older women who've had their babies.
Yes,
you can actually now, they do grow, they become adults. They can feed themselves now, and you can do it as well. You can do it in your band.
Musa and Malcolm from a behind-the-scenes perspective, obviously Malcolm's a musician as well, but what Henry's thing and what you're doing, Libby, reminds me of the fact that, you know, with someone like the Hellfire Club back in the day, or the fact that you need spaces where you feel comfortable enough, welcome enough, or at least like you can gate crash it enough to go down and turn on your instruments and make her like it. Because that can be intimidating, can't it? The Hellfire Club was obviously a space in which that was, you could at least get the keys and go down and make her eye. And that's important.
Absolutely, and there wasn't another recording studio in Glasgow at the time. There's a great Facebook post that I think Jane Henderson, who's gone now, put up, and it's a day in the life of the Hellfire Club. So the Hellfire Club is this terrible, awful basement in Carnarvon Street, where, you know, Stinky the cat ruled the basement.
Just nodding along.
It was really stinking, wasn't it?
Did we get some of Stinky's kittens?
Yeah, John, my brother Peter took Stinky's 3 feral kittens to London with him. But Stinky ruled the roost, he was there. But basically it was a basement, it was really dusty, and but to rehearse it was £2 an hour, and showing their age. It was in Carnarvon Street, and Ronnie Brown had a place called Carnarvon Link, and he was well dodgy, Ronnie, rest his soul. But he would sell, you know, PA systems to bands that didn't work, and they'd go all the way up to the International Hotel in Grangemouth and arrive there to do their gig with a PA that didn't work. The Hellfire Club was in the basement below Carnarvon Link in Carnarvon Street, and me and Jackie and David lived in 22 Carnarvon Street, and at that point all these tenants are all gone now, but believe it or not, at that point in Carnarvon Street there was a really wide big street, like a kind of New York Bronx kind of thing. There was red lights in all the windows around the box, so all the ladies actually did have red lights in their windows. So Jackie Bradley, who I was at school with Jackie, and it was her and I that had this idea that we could be in a band. Because we were dead cool, we were 13 and we were Bowie fans and we had great music taste. David Henderson, Jackie Bradley and I was the, you know, the kind of, they were a couple and I was the lugger. I was the hanging on. So we had a flat in Carnarvon Street and the Hellfire Club was created in the basement across the road. But this Facebook post that Jane put up, there was Simple Minds, Aztec Camera, the Dream Boys, Shaking Pyramids, Cuban Heels. You know, bands, if you were around, if you're as old as me, and you were around in the 80s, it was every band that you went to see, all rehearsed in the Hellfire Club. So when they all finished rehearsing and everybody went home, then we all snuck in. We kind of snuck in, me and Jackie in.
I do love the fact that every single band you've just listed was all men, and then you're like, right, after dark.
Well, there was also Altered Images.
Okay.
But we did tell Claire that we just let her go off with the boys. And then we snuck in and we picked up their instruments and kind of went, and yeah, we just started messing about. But it was quite interesting the way it started. It was just such good fun to play and to be those people. And I think one of the brilliant things about the film since yesterday is that difference between creativity and celebrity is writ large without it being stuffed down your throat. It's basically when we play and when we use our imaginations and we're collaborative and we create company and we're together. And I think, biased as it sounds, I think women do that really brilliantly. And when we do all that, it's we forget to remember that the industry doesn't really want that. You know, they want something that's much more, you know, something they can control more, you know. And I think Strawberry Switchblade is a great example in the film of something that RCA thought, oh, we can sell that, and then try to just basically control it all, you know.
Yeah, but they thought they could sell it on their terms, which was men's terms of their projection of what they thought a woman's band.
As if they were dealing with a, you know, Bazooka Joe comic strip. Does anyone remember Bazooka Joe?
I do now,
yeah. But you know, the kind of caricature of what you know, a girl and a band are about, you know, as opposed to kind of folk
Well,
people.
it's like a use the word agency within it, whereas within sophisticated boom boom, and if there isn't a major label involved, then you can feel like they have agency, or you can feel like they're doing a DIY thing or a default thing, and you have some sort of control. Whereas once you're on a major label, the entire hierarchy, the entire kind of institutionalization, if you like, of the music industry, it's guys, and that's their template, and they can't see beyond it. But the other thing that's wonderful to try and focus on the positives is that if you have these spaces and you have the Hellfire Club, if you can go in, even if it's after dark, because the shaking pyramids and everybody down, love the shaking pyramids, by the way, nothing against them. Once the boys are gone, you can go down and make some noise. But also, Annie, from your perspective, I don't know how many times I saw Long Leg and bands like that at the 13th Note, or indeed at the Cash Rock through in Edinburgh, and these completely DIY spaces. If you don't have that platform, or if you don't have the means to even have a photocopier to make a fanzine, but if you do, that's all you need.
Yeah, I mean,
We would manage to
Do
take
that,
that,
of
of
course.
course.
We didn't have the credit, you know. You didn't need amps or anything. We didn't have any equipment.
I still don't have an amp.
You
I'm
know,
really proud of her for that.
I just don't, I've never bought one. If a girl uses borrow.
yeah.
we should have been Paddy as well. No, 13th Note was instrumental for all the girl band that Jane mentioned in the film. We shared equipment, we shared instruments, we shared everything.
Is that your Hellfire
Dresses.
Club?
And that was
That
our
was your Hellfire Club?
Yeah, and our basement as well. And then we used to rehearse in £1 Million Studios, we called it. It was our pals.
£1 Million Studios.
£1 Million Studios was in Arlington Street, next to the Arlington Bar.
It was a
And our
swamp.
pals lived in a basement. And
Studio.
it was a back room, it was tiny, and it was just mattresses all thing. And that's where we recorded a couple of
Yeah, you used to have to like climb
demos
into
and
it.
things.
Mattresses just as well.
That's thank you. Thanks, there's a theme here, eh?
I think he must have been there.
That's what we go for, yes. Claire, what's it like for you, having worked on this film, presumably, in like darkened rooms for nigh on a decade, right? And you never really know, you've done so many different things, like visually and musically, but this feels like something particularly special in that it's so much about what was on the screen here, but it's like, how many of these conversations are you hearing constantly, seeing in the press, seeing these guys like being on stage together, or do radio sessions? I mean, what absolutely thrills me is it's like, oh my god, how the fuck did it, excuse me, did it take till like now, whatever year we're in, whatever it is, 2024, for Long Leg to be on like bloody radio form, right? Doing our session on the front row. This is how you're Juliet McKinley to be on the front cover of the Herald magazine with a 5-piece, a 5-page feature. It's so overdue, but it needed this to start the whole conversation. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a funny thing that we were, each year, we were, in a selfish way, we were sort of living in fear that somebody else would do it. But it didn't really, that never really happens. And it's sort of backed up the fact that it's always the same bands that get celebrated. And rightly, because in terms of the celebration sense, because Scotland's got this incredible music scene, so disproportionate for the population, how much incredible music comes out. But yes, there was this trope that those, and no disrespect to the exhibition, the Rip Up exhibition that was on in Edinburgh, but I think it was a Strawberry Switchblade, Slade and Wall, maybe a Sunset Gun one too, but largely, like I get it, they got to focus on the bands that have their own noise to get people in the door. But yeah, it was this loop, it was always stuck in a loop with the same people being celebrated. And we knew, through being kind of music nerds and also through our research, that there was so much more. And we didn't really want it to have to be, we've said that a few times in interviews, that we didn't really want to have to make the documentary. I mean, we did because we were fans.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to have to do it. It should be the case that it needs made. But yeah, it didn't need made. I mean, we've done it, and we're so delighted with the result of that. I don't mean the film, I mean the result of how now everyone knows the names.
Yeah.
And that hopefully is a change for good.
And that's very much when I spoke to Carla as well, along the lines, because I would see her, she told me about it, I don't know, like nearly 10 years ago, I've got this idea, and it's very easy to say, oh, that's long overdue. It's another thing entirely to try and condense it and capture the spirit of it, but also to have the starting point, just because you're beside Blue Rose, where there's this wonderful moment where it's a good entry point for us all, because we knew Strawberry Switchblade, we had such kind of visual and musical sort of relationship with you. But Rose, did you know about any of the kind of bands that, like, I'm wondering about you guys, even from a musician's point of view, finding out more about someone like the McKinleys in particular, like superheroes. You should have known them all along.
Well, I did know about the McKinleys. My dad was a massive record collector, so I grew up with all his 1950s, 1960s stuff, so I knew about them. I don't have the records, which I wish I did, but a lot of the newer bands I'd heard of, but didn't really know them well, because also I've been very up in Scotland all the time. I don't live here anymore, so I'm up and down quite a lot, so and I'd also dropped out of going to gigs as much, because I don't like people. I don't really mean that, you know, but I don't like crowds and stuff like that. It's just like, I'm quite happy to go somewhere and sit in a corner and just watch. People watch. But so I don't go out to gigs a lot. I mean, I do occasionally, and sometimes I get through phases where I do a lot. But all these Skittle bands that actually, like, I heard most of the names, to be honest, but I hadn't heard all the music. So actually watching this documentary, I learned quite a lot, to be honest, about all the new bands. A whole clunk of them that which I don't have the records, which we're going to fix that, aren't we?
We're eventually. I mean, we're already in talks to do like a stuff 7-inch with the eggs, aren't we?
Really? I also want some
Wow.
knickers. I'm going to have some
Well,
knickers.
we've brought knickers for the ladies. We've got a selection of sizes we did not want to presume.
We're not trying them on.
I hope we've got enough for everyone hanging, have we? Yeah, the knickers.
Get knickers for the
A bag of knickers. Love it.
We're never missing out on opportunity.
So you were nodding along when Rose was saying that about this wonderful sort of like celebration. The other thing to say is, like, there's not a single, you know, one of the bands that are mentioned within this and celebrated within the song that sounds anything like the other. That's the other thing, right? It's utterly brilliant.
I mean, it kind of made me wish that we'd stayed in Scotland, you know, that we could have experienced it, you know, like being able to go to these gigs, and it just looked, that to me looked like such a brilliant, just a great experience, you know, and I'd love to see it all, you know, like.
I think it's really positive.
Well, there's
Yeah.
always
It's like
been
we
a
didn't
really
know each other, but-
music scene in Scotland, hasn't
Yeah.
there? And I think if we had stayed, we would have all our mates supporting us. We didn't need
It was,
executives telling us what to do and saying that we should be like the Bangles or Banana Rama.
they were constantly trying to polish us, you know, it just felt like we were being polished constantly, weren't we?
Like we signed us knowing exactly what we looked like. It's
So
like,
eye makeup.
do you not just I don't need to know you.
Was this meant to
Yes.
Alright, so
Wow.
you know about that later, right?
Wow.
But yeah, I would love to have been around. I would really loved it, because it sounds like there wasn't like a massive, like there was a music scene, but it sounds like just to have lots of women. It was also in Sophisticated Boom Boom, which was, I mean, we played quite a lot of gigs together.
It was mostly guys back
It was mostly guys, and I think
And we all get on.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know each other, and we all. I love the way I don't need a microphone.
Different slightly there is.
See, you don't need it.
I don't even remember, but it's like we did, none of us knew each other, and ever since we've met, like we all get on, because there's just, even when I look at our wee faces, all it's in the same age 20, I'm like, this is wee hungry faces, and we all look like we would, together it would get in trouble.
Never
chips and the gas fire.
Bag of chips. I know, we've all done it. We used to eat up like pasties on like radiators and one. We're that hungry. Like that's a true story.
Honestly,
But I suppose it's just the religion of it. If you've got the friendship and the camaraderie and the gang aspect of it, which I think again really comes through in the film, and it doesn't shy away from the fact that, you know, a lot of the time, real life, which for women can quite often become, you know, having a family or getting pregnant with others here. But the gang mentality and the kind of like almost kicking down the doors mentality, I literally think that at a Hellfire Club and you guys go, let's just go down there and plug stuff in and make our own rackets. You've got to do it.
yeah.
One of the things I love about Since Yesterday, the doc, is that Carla's voice is so honest and so kind of, and Blair told me that she was really reluctant to do this voiceover. She really didn't want to do it. She thought it had to be done by someone who had a better voice, or a more professional voice, or something kind of.
It was more like she didn't ever want the film to be about her, or
About her,
to be
yeah,
conceivable. It could be about her experience, which is key to it as well, of course. But yeah, she thought that if she's doing the voiceover, then it's really about her.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And the fact that it starts with the wee girls in the bedroom, I mean, I'm really excited at the fact that my 2 granddaughters are about to come back from holiday, and I'm going to be able to say, your Nana's albums just came out. I've got t-shirts, I've got Sophisticated Boom Boom t-shirts. But no, seriously, I mean, I left Sophisticated Boom Boom because we were about to support Simple Minds in the Barrowlands, who are my mates, I'm looking, because I was pregnant. And at the time I thought, what, you could pay for this PR. This will be brilliant, this will be fantastic. I'll wear this outfit, which is like, you know. And of course, it was a decision to drop their singer, because the ambition of being in their 20s and thinking the industry will not fold us, you know, and all the guys were going, all the RC, you know, the R&A guys were going to come to this Simple Minds stick, so we can't have a pregnant singer, you know, what a mistake, it would have been brilliant. Yeah, it was a decision that doesn't wear well over time, but I'm very happy to say that the producer of said pregnancy is now teaching his 2 daughters to play guitar. So it's all coming out in the wash.
I mean, the great irony of this is you were so ahead of your time, because certainly, you know, Jane's speaking about seeing Strawberry Switchblade and Smash It, so therefore I'm sure you also remember Jane seeing Nina Cherry on Top of the Pops, pregnant a few years later, right? Or whenever we are there, or not at the end of the decade, as the most revolutionary thing that ever happened, the most feminist
We
thing
would
that
have
ever happened.
been first to do it. I had my outfit worked out.
Well, I played drums when I was 7 months pregnant in the band that I was in before, Switchblade, and it was like, I never thought for 1 minute I couldn't. You know, I couldn't do anything. And I think even when we signed to Warner Brothers said, don't let anyone know you're having kids, Rose, and don't let them know you're married.
Wow.
And I'm going, but the thing is, we ended up having my daughter on one of the TV morning breakfast shows, flogging single Jolene. So she'd be cute, 6-year-old, going, oh, please, my great Jolene. It was brilliant, and sometimes we did this gig in the shop theatre where it was a women's cooperative and they would put the gig on so they didn't wreck. But my daughter being my daughter, she stayed. And she was running up and down the aisles going, that's my mummy! We were on stage and she looked like a wee mini-me because she had ribbons and a wee frilly dress on.
But that's the thing, it should be like to be celebrated, not to be like swept under the carpet, or like somehow the shame of it, we have to get you out of the bag. We'll not speak about it again, just in general. From the perspective of looking at it, and of course the title, what's it like for you, Joe, looking back on that time, because you say within the film, you thought it was just almost, it was almost easier just to not think about music, to kind of maybe close off that aspect. Of course, you're an incredible visual artist, but has it made you feel differently about that time in your life? What did you think about your music and the experience of it?
I mean, I'm really proud of it, you know. I think we did a great job, and you know, it was wonderful. I did find the whole kind of aspect of being a product. I mean, you know, Rose was a mother, I was agoraphobic. We weren't the best, you know. We weren't the best bet, were we? You know, it was a challenge generally, you know, so yeah. I mean,
But you could flip that on its head and say how absolutely, utterly brilliant, radical that actually, despite both of
well, it
those
was amazing
aspects,
that we actually got signed, really, you know. I mean, considering the experience, you know, I think Lumley's experience was very different, wasn't it?
Well,
Because
because
in terms of-
I had like really bad post-traumatic stress, but I had to totally hide that from everybody. One, because I didn't want anybody to know. It was totally down to me. It was nothing to do with the record company. And I just didn't want to have, I didn't want to be a victim and to, do you know what I mean? It's like, but also there's just lots of things when you're growing up, and it's depending on where you grow up and who you are. All those things fashion who you become. And it's like, a lot of people thought, well, maybe if you didn't dress up so much like that as well, then people wouldn't take your music more seriously.
Oh, so it's your fault again, right? It's like,
Absolutely. But the thing is, that was great fun. Jill and I used to go shopping, and we used to, like, one of us would see some polka dots and go, we would just run in and buy meters and meters long of polka dots, and Jill would make the kind of dress he wears, and I would make the kind of dress I wore. You know, so that was part of the fun of it as well. That was a massive bonding thing for Jill and I.
I was asked
Yeah.
recently, somebody asked me, who styled you?
Andy's mum.
Who styled you? Who was your stylist? Very idea.
but that comes back to the DIY aspect, actually. That comes back to the bit that wasn't under the control of the labels. Carl asked an absolute perfect question for the point, which is, why haven't there been more successful girl bands in Scotland? And I think also the film answers that question to some extent, in that if you come from where you stayed where you came late to the sort of DIY ethos, whether that was in punk or whether that was in Riot Girl later, you had the agency. So you could have just ignore that bit. You had the choice. If you then went into the auspices of a major label, and therefore basically the kind of patriarchal music industry, that's a different thing. You weren't in control. So I mean, you, it sounds like it's actually, it looked like great fun, you know, certainly from the audience, watching it, buying the records, wearing the pants, not yet, wearing them shortly hopefully. But yeah, the DIY, the thing is about that, that's never going to make you quote unquote successful commercially, because you're keeping it close to you and making your own decisions.
When we met John Loder, we were supporting Sonic Youth, and he...
Imagine just casually saying that word.
Sports Sonic Youth. Yeah.
So he was there as a person, whatever, and he did Crass and everything, you know, I love Crass and all this kind of stuff. So you're like, you're in awe. And then he's like, I want to put out the record again. It wasn't recorded very well. I want to do it again. And he said, there's no pressure. So again, although it wasn't a major, Southern Records isn't a major, but they did a lot of amazing bands.
Yeah.
So the best thing for us, we were allowed to go down to the warehouse where they had all the distribution and get some free records.
Yeah, I know. I think we were allowed to look at the records. And he took us around it, and he was like, "You didn't have one." And we were like, "Well, I'm not any."
All or nothing.
But we love RIPs of my marvelous man.
Well, WA was out on Bellin Street Market in London, and I used to all the freebies from Warner Brothers and go straight to the record store and sell them. They weren't paying us enough. Pets the trade.
That's the recurring story I'm hearing from that documentary. It's like, you know, a lot of like sharing bags of chips, and it's obviously we all had the same.
When we re-recorded the album for Southern, we had to stay in this disgusting flat.
Haunted house.
You get the door to the staircase. This is a white Peter flat, you know, you shut them in the stairs and land in the door. And it was haunted, wasn't it? It was haunted. I mean, it just was like in the room, there was like piles of mail, you know, like one of these horrible places. And that was us there for 2 weeks, and we did a bit of painting, and we lived in baked beans. We got so many things. We went to Tesco, we did all this shopping, we were like, yes, wine and everything. And then the cab would be cleaned. That's true. It was bad. It was grim. It was grim.
There are so many lovely recurring themes like that, right? Warming pasties, sharing chips, it's about friendship and it's about music. I have also just seen that I was told we had to finish at 10:30. This may attempt to wind up. Do you know, just finally, I want to see a film about you guys in the Haunted Disgusting Flat. I want to see the film about the Hellfire Club. I want to see the film about, you know, the Kazoo Club. I want to see the film about you guys selling yourselves. And what I absolutely love is that what Blair and Carla have done, and I know I said it at the start, but I mean it so wholeheartedly, is like, it's starting a celebration of something. This is not tying up at all. It's almost like, we're going to be sorry guys, because what about 20 more sequels?
Oh yeah. There's so much more of course gets cut out.
There's so much more gets cut out. And so many stories.
Totally.
A lot of the best stories, a lot of the best music cut
There's so
out.
much music, that's
Yeah,
why
that's the stuff.
okay.
The vast majority of the stuff is not on Spotify or any of those platforms. So that's all going to come out in the wash.
Yeah, that's the stuff that's happened in the past. That's not even to mention whatever's going to come of all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Like, new stuff and looking forward. So, anyway, thank you so much. Imagine having all these guys.
I know.
Sorry.